since last summer's Supreme Court decision, New York Rifle and Pistol Club versus Bruen, that really opened up a lot of question marks for these other district judges. Since then, both sides of the gun control aisle have been doubling down. Anti-gun establishments are doubling down. There's a lot more anti-gun laws being passed in several states and cities around this country, really than ever before. And many of those are being struck down. Since that decision, more than a dozen bans or restrictions have been struck down. And more recently, what we're seeing is, because both sides are continuing to fight, is that it's making it to these circuit courts, which is great news. Really, all sorts of things have been making it to these circuit courts, and ultimately this will find its way back to the Supreme Court, I believe. I believe soon. Now, what I'm talking about is there's all sorts of things being changed, and depending on which state you're in and which circuit, federal circuit court you're talking about, when it comes to felons, non-violent felons being able to acquire handguns, different sorts of restrictions, different bans on capacities, all these things are finally making their way to circuit courts. And this is great, because the Supreme Court will eventually have to readdress this. And I believe it's ultimately going to come down, I'm going to predict, based on the nonviolent felons being able to, because it's coming down to, well, who can carry? Because the Supreme Court said, well, everybody has the right to carry. Well, now the question mark is, well, who is everybody? Who are these people that we're allowing to carry? And where can they carry? And all this is really becoming more restrictive in some states and less restrictive in other states. And as it makes its way to circuit court, many of these restrictions on who can carry is being eliminated. And it's great to see, because there's many states that, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've never committed a felony, have no arrests, pay my taxes, that kind of thing. There's many states, I guarantee they're still not going to give me a permit to carry. And that ultimately is where all this is heading, is because last summer they said, well, everybody has the right to carry. Well, now they're saying, well, who is everybody? Kind of what does that actually mean? So I believe the thing that will ultimately cause the Supreme Court to have to revisit this is going to be the nonviolent felons being able to carry, because many states and many people are trying to change this, because sometimes people did something stupid, but it was nonviolent. So should they have their handguns or their guns restricted? Most would argue no. At least on the pro-Second Amendment side. And most judges are also saying, in the federal courts, are saying no as well, that you should be able to reserve that right. So I believe that the Supreme Court is going to really define who is allowed to carry in this country. So any thoughts or insight on that, definitely put that below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel with Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.